Hi, boys and girls, it's Miss Purcell. We are starting our unit this week on the coordinate plane and plotting points on a coordinate grid. We're going to start today on page 566. So pause me if you need to get to page 566 in your book. You'll need a pencil and you'll need your book. All right, our essential question today, what we're using to guide us through the lesson and what we should be able to answer if we learned what we needed to learn today is, how do you name a point on a coordinate grid? So I'm going to leave the book a minute and I'm going to talk about what a coordinate grid is. So a coordinate grid is made, let me just use my ruler here. Everybody has seen a number line that runs horizontally. And you know, if you've been in my classroom, I have a number line in the back of the room, and the point right here is 0. And the numbers to the right of the point, I'm just going to skip to give me some room here, are our positive numbers. Okay, so this should look familiar. And if I had more space, I'd keep going. Now we also have our negative numbers. So they work backwards. So if we've had a really cold morning in North Carolina, you know, sometimes we have, especially with the wind chill, negative so many degrees. So you do know about some negative numbers. Now that is our number line that runs horizontally. We usually call that the x-axis. But you also know from being in my room that we have another number line that runs vertically. And it works in the same way. And I almost like to think about this as being in a building, a skyscraper, this being our street and this being the parking deck below. So it also starts with 0, and our positive numbers would go up above the ground. Think about being in a building. We could be up to the 4th, 5th floor. We could go even higher if it was a taller building. And we might drive underneath the building to a underground parking deck, and we might be one level under, maybe 2 levels underground. You get the picture. So again, we have these negative number lines here. Now, this is a geometry unit, but it's actually going to be very useful as you get older and start taking some algebra questions or classes, because you're going to start working with the coordinate plane. So in 5th grade, we only work with positive numbers. So quadrant 1 is where we're going to be working, in this area right here. Okay, that quadrant has positive numbers on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, it has positive numbers. Okay, so all the ordered pairs that we're looking for, all the points will be here. Next year, you're going to move over to quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4, but we're not working here this year because quadrant 3 deals with negative numbers on the x-axis and positive on the y. Quadrant 3 has negative numbers in the x-axis and negative numbers on the y-axis. And then quadrant 4 has positive x numbers but negative y. So we only deal with positive numbers, so this is where we're going to be. So now that you see the whole coordinate grid and we're focused on this first quadrant, let's look at your book, because this is what we see in our book. Okay, you can see, you could imagine where I just had those 2 number lines extending. So now we have the plane and we're in quadrant 1. All right, this may look familiar. We use this a lot in the real world, especially with maps and trying to find places. Another time that we use it, and I know I talked about this in Miss Hunt's class, is the game Battleship. If you've ever played Battleship, you've used basically a coordinate plane to locate your opponent's ships and try to sink them. All right, so here we have a map that shows the locations of landmarks and has guides for finding them. In a similar way, a coordinate grid is used to graph and name the locations of points in a plane. So you can use ordered pairs to locate points on a coordinate grid. And they're ordered pairs because they always work the same. So when we write ordered pairs, we use a set of parentheses. So we start with the left parentheses and we write the x-axis value. We use a comma to separate it from the y-axis value, and then we close the ordered pair with parentheses. The easiest way to remember this is in the alphabet, x comes before y, so you always talk about your x value before your y value. All right, so here it gets explained. A coordinate grid has a horizontal x-axis, here it is, and a vertical y-axis, here it is. The point at which the x-axis and the y-axis intersect is called the origin. So there it is. A point on the grid is named using an ordered pair of numbers. The first number, the x-coordinate, names the distance from the origin along the x-axis. The y-coordinate names the distance from the origin along the y-axis. And a real fun way to remember how you move on the coordinate plane is you always start at the origin. The origin is where the beginning is, so you would always put your pencil on the origin. And if you think about running on the x and jumping on the y, think about that. You would run before you jump. All right, so maybe that will help. So when we look at this point, when we move, we see it right here, point A, looks like a period, right? A point A. So if we start at the origin, we run along the x-axis to 1, right? And we jump up to 3. So the x value, I'm going to make a note right there, is 1. It's on the x-axis. The y value that the point is at is 3. So x and then y. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at the convince me. In the example above, what if we were to name an ordered pair for point B if it is 3 units to the right of point A? So if we move 3 units to the right, each square is a unit. So I'd put my pencil on A, and I would move my point 1, 2, 3. I am staying on that same line. All right. Now let's determine what we'd call this point. We're going to name it point B, but if we were to give its ordered pairs, and you can kind of think of the ordered pair as that address, let's see what x value it's on. So we start at 0. I see it here. It's over at the 4. We run along the x and stop at the 4. We write that down as the x value. We put our comma. And from the 4, we jump up and we stop at the 3. So point B is located on the coordinate grid at the location 4, 3. All right, so I'll put it down here. B is at 4, 3. All right, pause your video a minute and plot that point. Take any notes that you might want to take. And when you're ready, we're going to start on page 567. All right, number 1. You are graphing point E at 0, 5. Excuse me. Do you move to the right 0 units or up 0 units? Explain. So I want you to think about that. If you are graphing point E at 0, 5, so let's think about that. 0, 5. All right, 0 would be along the x-axis and 5 would be along the y. Remember, x before y. So if you think about it, you can just look at a grid. So let's just take a peek at this one. So wait a minute. We move over. We run along the x-axis to 0. We don't even move, do we? Right? So we are going to move 0 units to the right. We're not moving, right? We stay. So the question was, do you move to the right 0 units or up 0 units? So this is what we're going to do. We move to the right 0 units. All right, and that's because that first number of the ordered pair names the distance from the origin along the x-axis. So it's 0 units along the x-axis from the origin. So it would still be at the same place, right? So let's make a note here. The first number names the distance from the origin along the x-axis. So let's try to write that out. The first number names the distance from the origin. Remember where your origin is. It's where we always start, from the origin along the x-axis. And this is to the right, right? Or correct? Okay. So we're with the ordered pair 0, 5, we move to the right 0 units. So basically we don't move, we just stay there. All right, and that is because the first number names the distance from the origin along the x-axis, which is to the right. All right, which ordered pair names the origin of any coordinate grid? So if I had to use an ordered pair to describe where the origin is, right here's the origin right here. If we move 0 units to the right, and we already know that's going to be our x value, how many units do we move up? It's the y value. Well, we're at the y value, so the origin is always located at 0, 0. So you can think of the address of the origin always at point 0, 0, or at location 0, 0. Note again that the ordered pair goes in parentheses with a comma to separate the x value from the y value. All right, let's talk about how you would let's describe how you would graph point K at 5, 4. So 5 is your x value, 4 is your y. So where do we start? We start at the origin. Start at the origin, and the origin is 0, 0. And we move to the right first. Remember, you run along the x-axis. So we're going to move to the right how many points or how many places? 5 units. If we move to the right 5 units, we're moving along the x-axis and we're arriving at point K, or we're arriving at 5. Move to the right 5 units. And then once we move 5 units over, how many units do we move up along the y-axis? Yes, the 4. So we move to the right 5 units and up 4 units. And if we follow those directions, starting at the origin, we're going to end up at point K at 5, 4. All right, let's practice writing some ordered pairs. So remember the format: open parentheses, the x value, a comma, y value, close parentheses. So point B, I'm going to locate it, and it's right here. So we start at the origin, and if we go over 3 units and up 2, so think about it, you run before you jump, so over 3 and up 2, then our ordered pair is 3, 2. Think of it as the address. All right, let's move along and let's look at what A. Oh, A, we already did that. A is the origin, right? We don't move any on the x-axis and we don't move any up on the y. So 0, 0. All right, now we're going to name the point for each ordered pair. So now we're going to use the address and figure out what point is located there. So 5, 3, we go over 5, up 3, there it is. I see point D. And when we write the point numbers, we use capital letters. All right, if I move over 1 and up 4, I end up at point C. All right. So we wrote the ordered pairs for a point that is here, and we wrote the point from the ordered pair. All right, let's do a little bit of independent practice. So if you want to pause your video and try it and then see how you did, this might be a good time to do that. If you feel like you're not comfortable yet and you want to do some with me, we can work it that way too. All right, so we're going to write the ordered pair for each point, and we're using this grid right here. So locate point T. All right, here it is. Now I notice it is on the y-axis. So we don't move any over on the x. So we are staying on the origin at 0, but we jump or move up 5. So point T would be located at 0, 5. And there's my correct format for writing the ordered pair. Point X, here it is. So we go over 4, up 3. So it is located at 4, 3. And there's my correct format. So again, we start at the origin and we run along the X before we can jump to the Y. All right, point Y. Here it is. It is on the X-axis. So we're actually going over 1 unit and we're not going up any. We stay right there. So we go over along the X 1 unit and we go up none, 0, 1, 0. W, point W is located here. So look at it a minute. We start at the origin, we go over 3, we go up 2. So 3, 2 is the ordered pair. For point Z, here it is. We start at the origin, we go over 1 unit, we go up 4. So the ordered pair, 1, 4. All right, point S, here it is. We go all the way over to 5 and we go all the way up to 5. So over 5, up 5. And that would be the ordered pair. All right. Now, again, if you feel good and you want to give yourself some practice, you can actually name the point for each ordered pair given and then come back and play the video. So you can pause it and see if you've got this. All right. Point that is located at 2, 2. I start at the origin. I go over 2 first, up 2, and I found point L. Don't forget capital letters. All right. The point located at 5, 4. Start at the origin, go over 5, go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Point Q. All right. I'm looking for the point at 1, 5. Start at the origin, go over 1 on the x-axis, go up 5, all the way up to N, point N. Point that is located at 0, 3. All right, remember, 0 means we don't move anywhere on the x-axis. We go up 3, and it is point M that is located at 0, 3. The point that is located at 4, 0. We go over 4, and we go up none. 4, 0, the location gives us point P. All right, take a look at those and see what you think. All right. Now, if you feel comfortable with this, you are ready to move on. If not, you might need to rewind the video a little bit, listen to my explanation again. Those of you that have finished, you are going to go mark that you finished the video in your Google Classroom, mark as done, and then you're going to click on the link through Google Classroom to your Practice Buddy lesson 14-1. Now, if you rush through and make a poor score, you might want to go back and fix it. You can go back again through the Practice Buddy. The other thing that you need to work on is you need to make sure that you have 2 minimum of your weekly review problems completed. And the last thing is we're going to start talking about this Dream Box, which is a fun little program. It's an app that is on your ClassLink page. If you've been in and played around, you might want to try to do one of those lessons a day. 5th grade lessons take about 3 to 5 minutes. So that is something else. I'm going to be requiring a certain number of lessons a week for each class, and we're going to talk about that soon. I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit of time to get used to our hybrid model of teaching this first 9 weeks. So if you want to get in and give it a try, just click into Dreambox. Your account's been set up. Some of you have already found it, and I've seen you've been in it. So if you are looking for more math to do, that is a great place to go. All right, have a great day. I will see you later.